All right, guys, today we're going to look at multi-step equations, day 2. So yesterday we started with step 3 on solving equations, where we had to combine some like terms on each side and then do addition or subtraction and multiplication division. We're going to look at some problems that actually do all of these things today, okay? The first example, we're going to start with step 2, okay? We're going to add in the distributive property to our examples. And then on the next example, we'll do the fractions and decimals part. So let's look at example 1. This time we have grouping symbols within our equations. So before we can do any of those steps we did yesterday, we need to clear our parentheses. And to do that, we have the distributive property to help us with that. If you remember, what it is we take the -2 outside the parentheses and we multiply it by what's inside the parentheses. So -2 times b, you get -2b. And then we have -2 times -4, okay? And remember, keep in mind, don't put a sign until you know what it's going to be. So if we look at this, we have -2, -4. Negative times negative is positive. So this is going to be a positive 8 equals 12. Then the next step is to combine like terms on each side. But if you notice, we don't have any like terms on either side, so there's nothing that we have to do with step 3. So we'll move on to step 4. We're down to a 2-step equation now at this point, where we need to isolate this -2b. We need to get it by itself. We have a positive 8 in the way. So we're going to subtract 8 from both sides. And again, draw the line of the equation where the equal sign is if you need to. So we cross out our 8s, we bring down the entire -2b, that whole thing comes down, -2b equals 12 minus 8, we get 4. Okay, and then we have one more step, the -2 is being multiplied by b, so we divide both sides by -2, and we get b equals -2. All right, so that is the answer to that one. All right, now the distributive property could be on the right also. It could be anywhere in the problem. You could have it on both sides. So right now we need to look at where the parentheses are, and we need to clear those parentheses. So we need to do the distributive property on this side. -3 times x and -3 times -1. Now let me remind you of something that a lot of students do. They always try to take the -3 and multiply it by 9, and you can't do that because 9 is separate from everything in the parentheses. It stands alone at this point. So right at this point, it just stands alone. So we're going to take, and the 15 stays the same too. So I'm going to just rewrite all the stuff that we don't do anything with. So 15 equals. Now I'm going to go through and do my distributive property. -3 times x is -3x. -3 times -1 is +3. And then we just have our 9. We'll just bring it down because it's just standalone right now. All right, so now that we've cleared our parentheses, we now need to combine some like terms. We actually do have like terms this time. On the right side of the equal sign, we have a 3 and a 9. We need to go ahead and combine those because they are alike. So we get 15 equals -3x, and then 3 plus 9 is 12, so we get +12. All right, so now we're down to a 2-step equation. So we need to isolate this -3x. It's the term with the variable. So we can get the 12 on the other side. So we're going to subtract 12 from both sides. And we get 3 equals -3x. The 12's cancel. Divide both sides by -3. And we get -1 equals x, and then I just ask you that you turn it around and make it x equals -1, all right? Because we want the variable on the left there. So x equals -1 in this situation. All right, let's keep moving on. We have letter C. Okay, letter C, we have 3 times k and 3 times 8. So we're going to take 3 times k, we get 3k. 3 times +8, +3 times +8 gives us a +24 equals 21. All right, we don't have any like terms to combine. So now let's draw our line. Okay, we need 3k as our term with the variable, so it's got to be by itself. So we need to get rid of this 24. So we subtract 24 from both sides. All right, the 24's cancel. Bring down your 3k. So we get 3k equals 21 minus 24. Different signs subtract. So we subtract those. We get 3. Take the sign of the bigger number. Negative. We divide both sides by 3. And we get k equals negative 3 divided by 3 is negative 1. Same answer twice in a row there. All right, letter D. We throw in a fraction. Okay, so this doesn't have to be difficult. We can do distributive property with the fraction. All right, we can take 1/4 times m and 1/4 times negative 16. So we get 1/4 m. Okay, because 1/4 times m is just 1/4 m. Treat 1/4 just like a regular number. It is just a number. And then we have 1/4 times negative 16. Okay, it's a positive times a negative, so we know it's going to be negative. And then let's just write it out separately here. We got 1/4 times 16 over 1, because we've taken care of the signs, so we don't need to worry about the signs anymore. We've taken care of that by putting the negative out there. And then then that equals 7. Okay, so then what you can do here, you can cross reduce, because the 4 goes into the 16 4 times. So we can cancel that, make it 1, cancel this, make it 4, and we're just left with 4. Okay, do you guys see that? We're left with 4. So we get 1/4 m minus 4 equals 7. All right, so now we're down to a regular two-step equation. The only difference is now our coefficient here on the m is a fraction, and that's okay because we dealt with those yesterday. Okay, this is the same thing as saying m over 4. We could rewrite this equation and say m over 4 minus 4 equals 7. And this looks just like what we did yesterday. So now we can draw our line. We want to get this term by itself. Add 4 to both sides. And we get m over 4 equals 11. Okay, and then yesterday on these problems, when we had the variable divided by a number, the opposite of division is multiply. So we multiply both sides by 4. Cross that out, we get m equals 44. Try not to get too overwhelmed by fractions, because on this next problem we're going to deal with fractions on 2 of the terms. So this time we got all kinds of fractions going on, but I'm going to show you a very easy way to solve these. On these problems, what you want to do is this last term that's a whole number, go ahead and make it a fraction too. Okay, and then what we're going to do is, like when we add and subtract fractions, we're going to find a common denominator. All right, so we're just going to find a common denominator between 3, 2, and 1. All right, so our common denominator between 3, 2, and 1 is going to be 6. So basically, we want 6 to be the denominator on all 3 of these terms. So we're going to go through and do like we do when we change our fractions. We want our denominators to be 6. So on this first fraction, we have to multiply top and bottom by 2 to be able to get a 6 on that denominator. Okay? So we're going to go ahead and do that. 2 times x times 2. So that's going to give us 4x over 6. All right, because 3 times 2 is 6. Plus, all right, and then on the next fraction, we got to multiply the 2 by a 6. All right, so then the next fraction, we get 6x. Oh, not by 6, I'm sorry, I messed up there. We need to multiply that by 3. Sorry about that. We'll multiply that by 3. Because 2 times 3 is 6. So that's going to give us 3x over 6. All right, and then this is the one, I'm sorry, I was thinking ahead last time. The 7 over 1, this is the one we need to multiply by 6. So then we get equals, 7 times 6, we get 42 over 6. All right, now this is the part that might trip you up possibly. Once you get all of those denominators the same, okay? What we need to do, we only now need to compare the top. We only need to be looking at the numerators at this point. You know, we still have the denominators here, but in order to solve the equation, we only actually have to look at the numerators, okay? So the denominators aren't going away, but we don't need them to be able to solve for x, okay? Once they're the same, then we're on an equivalent plane, and we can just take those top ones, and we can just solve the equation with the top. So we're going to take 4x plus 3x equals 42. So I've just kind of ignored the bottoms, and I'm just looking at the numerators. Okay, so now what we can do is combine our like terms. 4x plus 3x, we're going to get 7x. All right, because we combine our like terms, equals 42. All right, and now we just divide by 7 on both sides, and you get x equals 6. All right, x equals 6. All right, so for those of you that are still really confused, because I have a feeling there might be one or two of you out there, we'll do another one, okay? So again, put the 26 over 1, put the whole number over 1 so that you see that they're all, you know, rational numbers. So we have a 3, an 8, and a 1. All right, so we need to find a common denominator between 3, 8, and 1, and that number is going to be 24. So we need to get all of our denominators to be 24. So right now, to get the 3 to be a 24, we need to multiply that by 8, which means we need to multiply the top by 8. So that's going to give us 16 over 24x, right? 16 over 24x. And then to get the 8 by itself, or not by itself, I'm sorry, to get the 8 to be 24, we want to multiply that by 3. So we get minus 15 over 24x, all right, equals, and then we got to do it to the last one also. It has a denominator of 1. To get to 24, we got to multiply this by 24. So we're going to have 26 times 24. That's going to be a pretty big number here. All right, so now we have this number. So let's see, 26 times 24. I don't have a calculator in front of me. I'm going to do this real quick by hand. I'm one of those, I got to see it to be able to do it. So 624. All right. So we get 624 over 24. All right. So again, we have our denominators all the same. They're all exactly the same. So now we can just ignore the denominators and focus just on the numerators. The x's, when they're written like this is the same as like saying x over 1. So this x is a part of the numerator along with the 16. So it's going to be 16x minus 15x is going to give you 624. All right. When we combine our like terms, 16x minus 15x just gives us 1x equals 624. So then x equals just 624. All right, so that is how you clear your fractions. And these are equations with multi-steps, dealing with distributive property and clearing fractions. Thank you for watching, and have a good day.